Welcome to the Proper Property Podcast with Johnny and Luke.
Say it into that camera.
Yeah. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I mean, there are a lot of bridging lenders out there offering short-term money. And actually, for me, the feature of the market is there's a lot of liquidity chasing too few deals.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Proper Property Podcast. I'm Luke.
And I'm Johnny.
And today we are here with George from Real Finance, one of the leading names in property finance and bridging. We'll be diving into his journey, the world of property funding, and why relationships and events are key to success.
So welcome, George.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And a little birdie tells me that this is your first ever podcast.
It is my first ever podcast. Yeah, it's a bit strange. But just being in a room, just talking to you guys. But genuinely, I'm delighted to be here. It's good that it's also my first podcast. It's up the road from where I am, so that's also quite convenient.
Brilliant. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive straight in?
Yeah, I think as you said in the intro, so my name's George Eleftheriou. So I'm the MD of Real Finance. We are a finance or specialist finance brokerage. The head office is based in Chesterfield. But we've got people around the UK. We're a smallish, medium-sized team of 14 people. Most are ex-lenders. We're about 8 years old now, and most of what I personally get involved in tends to be on the property real estate side. That's essentially who I am and what we're about.
Awesome, fantastic.
So what drew you into property finance? Was it something that you were doing before you set up Real Finance, or is that something you've come on to further on in your career?
Well, my entire career was, before I set the business up 8 years ago, was in banking and finance. So I spent 27 years in banks, working for both high street and challenger banks. And I got to a point in 2016 where I guess I was a bit of a crossroads. There's a restructure going on. And I really had a choice, I suppose. I was at a crossroads. I was about to turn 50. And I was just really faced with that choice of, do I just simply put my CV into other lenders and just almost do the same thing? Or do I decide that I'm going to break from that and try something else? Now, as I say, I was getting to that age where it's a case of if you don't do it now, you probably never will.
Never, yeah.
Yeah, and it was an unfulfilled ambition of mine. Anyway, my whole family are self-employed, running their own businesses. And I just thought, well, what's the worst that can happen if I set it up? I'll just get another job.
Love that. What is the worst that can happen?
I think that's really admirable, especially like at that time of your life where it's a massive risk at that time in your life to start something like that, and it's obviously paid off.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was lucky. I was quite senior in the banking world, running pretty significant banking teams and significant businesses, and I was paid well. And so when you're on that hamster wheel, the biggest thing you think about is, well, I'm giving up that salary and all that comes with it. And you got mortgage and you got kids. My kids were growing up and just, finishing uni and whatever else. And you're thinking to yourself, my God, I've got a mortgage, I've got all this stuff. And if I don't earn any money, that kind of puts me in a bit of a problem.
A big problem.
Yeah, but I was looking at the position I was in. I thought, well, I can get by for 6 or 7 months. Let's just make a start and see what happens. And the other point, and actually another thing that was quite key here, is because I've been leading teams, I'd not been on the tools, as it were, for quite some time. Whilst, I'd meet clients and whatever else, they weren't my clients because my relationship management team would do that kind of stuff. So that was another step into the unknown in many respects. And I was lucky, I set this up with someone else, a really good friend of mine, Jason, who I've got a lot to thank for kind of being alongside me on the beginning of that journey. He left the business 2 years later. I was very amicable. He wanted to go back to banking, and he's a CEO now of a new bank that he set up, and I really admire what he's done. But that kind of set me on my way of having someone alongside me. But we essentially went from 2 people, then back to 1, and then up to 13, 14 people in about 8 years. And, I'm quite proud of that.
Yeah.
But it was scary. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Well, it was scary. It was hard. And
I bet it's still scary. It's
scary for different reasons.
It's always something to be scared of, isn't there?
Yeah,
Every day there's a new challenge.
But for me, it was about, that first day, what do you do? I mean, I literally had my home laptop. Literally, that's all I had, and my notepad. And my mobile phone, which is my personal phone. I didn't really spend any money because, frankly, I wanted to preserve as much cash as I possibly could.
Well, yeah, that's you have to, don't you, right?
Yeah. So for me, it was, every penny meant I had an extra week of life without earning any income.
Yeah.
And so, literally, I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I started going through my black book weeks before, actually going through my black book and going, oh, who am I going to make contact with? Because my last banking job as well was in London. I've lived up here for 26 years.
Yeah.
But my last 4 or 5 years have been based in London, so I used to go down every Monday and come home on a Friday, which wasn't great.
I can imagine that adds quite a lot of pressure to everyday life. Right?
Yeah, family life.
Yeah. My youngest was going through GCSEs and then college. He went to Sheffield College, and so they're the formative years for the kids. My wife was doing all of the kind of school run side, everything at home, and all the kind of day-to-day stuff she was doing. And bear in mind, you've got me coming home on a Friday night, pretty knackered to be fair after a busy week, not really being that great. And it wasn't from a personal point of view. It was quite difficult because, as I say, you're away all week, and then you come back and you got to be back to husband and dad mode.
Yeah, present. I find you're present, but you're not present.
Yeah, exactly that. And also, by the time you get to Sunday afternoon, you're starting thinking about the next day because you're going, right, I've got to go to bed early because I've got to get the 7 o'clock train to get to London for 9:15. So your brain's already starting to think about doing all of that. And then, of course, you got to bear in mind, I was lucky enough in that my employer had rented a flat for me. But you go back to the flat at the end of the day and you're on your own. So you'd have a quick 15-20 minute call to home, and then basically you got to make your own food, you got to do whatever. So I worked quite a few hours, but it was for 4-5 years of doing that.
The novelty of that, because I'm sure a lot of people about that sounds really cool, working away from home, having your own flat that you work in, but I can imagine the novelty wears off very fast.
Yeah.
Very fast.
Don't get me wrong, it was great sometimes when the family would come down and we'd say, well, tell you what, let's just stay at the flat the weekend. Yeah. And, we were near Borough Market, it was great, have a bit of a walk around and everything was on your doorstep. And London is a very vibrant city, actually. It's great fun to be around it. But it's different, and it's different to being up here. So, I'm leading 2 lives. And that was really tough. And as I say, it does affect your mental health. It really, and it did for me. And so, I had to get to a point where I can't do that again, and I can't go through that again. And you need to reconnect with your family, and 2 days a week out of 7 don't cut it. It doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And what's the point of having all that great salary and having that seniority job and whatever, if actually what you've got left at the end of it is not a lot? And to me, family's a big thing for me. It always has been. Yeah. And it's been a real opportunity as well. The real spin-off of setting the business up has been the ability to be able to be back where I live, amongst my friends and my family and all the people that I know and love me. And it sounds cheesy, that, doesn't it? But in all seriousness, it's a really important thing for me, and that's been the really massive benefit of setting the business up, is that I'm back home, I'm back with the family, and I'm back in my own environment, which is actually really
and those sorts of things are actually invaluable. So it doesn't matter how successful a business is, if you could just get those things back, and even the business wasn't majorly successful, but you earn enough money to just have that more time with the family. That's a success in itself, isn't it?
Exactly
right?
that. That's exactly it. And as you get older, you really appreciate the things that matter the most. And ultimately, without sounding morbid, that you don't take all your possessions that you've gained in your life with you. So just understand that it's not just the material things, but the most important things, as I say, are the other things that enable you. Yeah. For me, I actually did a LinkedIn post yesterday about, the work isn't an enabler to all the things that actually you want to do outside of work. So to me, my work is important, looking after our clients is important, all the things that I've created around Real Finance is something I'm genuinely proud of. Why shouldn't I be proud of it? It's been hard work and it's had its ups and downs. Don't let anybody tell you, and you see things on social media about someone's got their shit together. Yeah. But don't ever let anyone make you think that everything's a bed of roses, because sometimes people only want to show you the nice flowery bits.
That is a massive thing with social media, and that is the age that we live in, where everybody's just showing you all the shiny parts. They're not showing you the hard work, the sleepless nights, the stress, and everything that goes on behind the scenes. Oh,
and the failures. Yeah. I mean, if you haven't failed, you've not been trying hard enough, in my opinion. And it's really important that people looking from the outside in, they might see this thing of success, but ultimately everybody who's got there has also had failure, And you'll know difference if you're looking at it going, oh my God, look at them and they're doing so much better than me. But define better anyway. What does that actually mean? And as I say, people are only going to choose to show you the little bit of their life they want to share.
Yeah, completely agree. Right, what is real finance?
What is real finance? So we essentially help clients. For me, it's, in the property side, it's investors, it's developers, entrepreneurs. Help them with their funding. So you've got a project, whether you want to buy property, you want to do it up, or you want to build a dozen houses, or you just want to invest in property. Essentially, they'll come to us and seek our guidance to help them with the funding. Now, because of our banking backgrounds, I'll often interrogate the numbers and say, what do you want to do that for? Or have you, that doesn't look quite right. And so what we say to people is we're the bank manager you no longer get. Because when I started banking, if you wanted to borrow money, there weren't all these challenger banks, bridging lenders and whatever out there. You basically had the banks. And you go to your bank manager and they'd tell you whether they'd lend you the money or not, and that was it. Nowadays, you're unlikely to get access to a bank manager. Most of the banks generally don't tend to do the stuff that we do for our clients. So we're that person now. So who do you go to if you've got an idea or you've got a project and you basically want funding? And as I say, we'll walk them all the way through the process, all the way from pre-application, i.e. have you presented with the right information? Is it packaged correctly? We'll help you with that packaging. A hand-holding service throughout the I mean, there's 35 years of stuff in it. And with a lot of my staff, there's 20 years, 15 to 25 years.
Which again is
really good, honest advice.
People that don't know what they're doing, for you to then come in and say, this is how each step works from the start to the finish.
And we won't just...
It's that human element and knowledge.
Completely.
100%.
And we will not just blindly go and do stuff because a client's asked us to do it. There's stuff sometimes where I've looked at a deal and I've just gone, I don't think this is right. I don't think it's right for you. I don't think this is, if you absolutely insist, then okay, we'll have a look at it and I want you to understand the risk you're taking. But I want to be there by the clients looking after their interests. Yeah. And if I don't think it is
real and honest, real finance.
That's part of where the name came from. Yeah, absolutely.
Many lenders would just lend, as long as you've got a good record of paying back. They'd lend, like you say, you intervening at that initial stage and giving people your advice and saying like, I'm not sure. It just puts that little stopgap in between, and I think that's amazing. Yeah,
you sometimes, especially we've not really had a really bad recession or a real downturn for about 18 years now. So there'll be people in their late 30s, early 40s who maybe have been in property for 10 years plus, who probably never experienced the downside. And so sometimes that means you're not tuned into some of the downside risks that might exist with the property. And as I say, again, social media will always show you someone's successes. Oh, look what I did. I bought this and I refurbished it, I refinanced, got all my money out and I did this and I did that. And there are very few deals that ever work like that in practice.
We say that all the time, and especially with these courses that they push on people. We've met quite a few young entrepreneurs recently, haven't we? And they're like a rabbit in an headlights. They've gone on a course, they've paid all this money out, often took loans out to do these courses, and it's just people feeding them a dream that doesn't exist.
I'm a big believer in education, and I think it's got its place, but also hands-on is also as important. So it's important that go and get educated, pick the thing that you want, figure out what it is that you want to do, but then go and practice it, because nothing beats learning from your own mistakes, and you're never going to get your first deal away without any mistakes. But what you've then got to do is surround yourself with people who you like and you trust, who you feel are going to have your back, and who will also help you mitigate some of those risks. Because think about what we do and what I've done before I set up Real Finance as well. I've seen the good, the bad and the ugly. And what you're simply going to try and do is use that experience to help people anticipate some of those problems that might come and think about them before they get into a deal. And essentially that's what we're trying to do, is that, as you said, that wraparound service to help people through that process. And then it's going to the lenders and picking the right lenders, because again, there's a whole art to that as well. It's not just about the cheapest loan.
Sorry, just to confirm, you're the broker, not the lender.
We're the broker.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Oh, I wasn't sure of that. I do know.
Very much. I'm not lending my own money.
And off the back of it, you touched on networking, and how important do you think networking really is?
It's massive, because I've said it all the way through my career. Banking, finance, funding is a people business. What makes something successful isn't just the project. In fact, I always say to people, when you start presenting a deal for lending, don't start with the numbers. Don't start sending me a load of spreadsheets and the property details. Start with you. I want to know who you are. What's your background? Where have you come from? Even if you've got no experience in property, you still got a story. I've done this in my career. I've done. I've got a guy at the moment, a client who's a train driver. Actually, doing really well in that. But actually, he's got, when you're sort of digging around, okay, what about the property side of it? Well, I've got a couple of buy-to-lets. Oh, how did you do that? And then, and he's got, I've got no refurb experience. So what, you just bought these properties and let them out? Oh, well, no, we did some paint and decorate, and we did this and we did that. So look, come on, let's just tease all that out of it, because you might not think it's relevant, but it is. Yeah. And so
got no refurb experience, but you've actually project managed 2 refurbs. And you've not even given yourself credit for that.
So we are a big people business. So I really, networking for me is around, there's a lot of lenders, there's a lot of brokerages out there. How do we cut through and get our voice and our name out into the market? It has to be by doing the networking. So we try and do as much as we can on social media, and that's mainly about educational stuff as opposed to promoting how great we are. I think people can, buy into us if we're kind of able to sort of talk a little bit about what we do, a little bit about case studies, and a little bit about the things that we think people should think about.
I think that's very much how we work, isn't it? We're all about
the proof is in the pudding.
Who we are. And,
we showcase everything that we do.
Yeah.
And
good, bad, and the ugly.
100%.
Yeah.
We'll cut that.
Shots fired. I'm not getting involved. But I think it is really important, and so I try and get either me or any member of the team going to various events. Now, obviously, a lot of our events tend to be local to this area. But then, I've got a guy up in the northeast, and he's really active up in his northeast market. I've got some guys in Nottingham, and they're active. Someone else in the West Midlands, he's really active, and going about and just letting people know who we are. And even those that have known me for years, again, you have to remind people that you're still around and what you're doing, and giving them examples of things that you've done, because sometimes that just triggers something in their mind. Oh, you need to go and talk to so-and-so. So a lot of our business comes from recommendation and word of mouth.
We have seen that you are getting a lot bigger on socials. We are noticing that a lot more.
Yeah.
And we are seeing that you are sponsoring a lot of events as well.
Yeah.
We're seeing more and more of that. Seeing you are putting yourselves out there, and it's
the banner and the logo seems. I spot it everywhere now.
Yeah, I'm seeing
it's good.
You'll be at an event. You've got your little pop up. What your guys have done. Because we go to quite a few events, don't we? And we see your guys there.
Yeah. And we as I said, I think most of what it is about is just to sort of cut through and give people that trust points. I know there are certain elements of finance, whether it's investment, and you're looking for a good IFA, you're looking for a mortgage broker, or you want X, Y, Z. It's like, there's loads of people. If I Google them, how do I know how good they are? It's like when you want to buy double glazing, or you want to get a good builder. It's kind of how do you cut through and understand who's going to actually look after you. And so we try the more touch points we've got. And often, you'll meet someone, you go to a networking event, you can't just expect to turn up and suddenly people are going to start throwing business at you. It doesn't work like that.
No.
You've got to build relationships. And you've got to get people to sort of, see you consistently, listen to various things. This is a good platform. Join you on socials and look at what you're saying. And then have various proof points around what the clients say about us.
Yeah.
And it's really important.
We've been at it about 3 years, 3 years networking, 3 years showing what we're doing. And it's only just that we've just got our first angel investor in.
Yeah.
And yet there's people who they go on these courses, they think that they're going to get an angel investor tomorrow because they've paid 12 grand. Yeah. Suddenly they're going to get that investment. It took us 3 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of hard work, it's not an overnight success. There isn't such a thing.
Well, put yourself in their shoes. If someone suddenly came to you, let's say you were fortunate and you had a few million quid in the bank and you were looking for a better return, you got to look at things. What's my decision making process going to look like? Yeah. Is it going to be that someone just put a LinkedIn post and then it's going to be a honeypot? No.
Yeah.
It's not going to work like that. So what have you got to do to then get people to buy into what you're going to do and say, I'll give you 6-figure numbers, unsecured maybe? I don't know. I mean, it's just, would you? And that's the thing. You've got to think about what's your compelling pitch to that market and why they're going to invest in you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because every investor, every lender is different, but ultimately they all want the same thing. They all want a return on their investment.
Yeah.
And who can they trust to get that return back? Somebody that has just done a course, or somebody that is active on social media, being honest and transparent. This is what we do. This is how we do it. These are the mistakes we're making. These are the wins that we're doing.
Yeah.
And we're putting it out there every day.
Even showing the projects that you've done is a massive thing.
There's a big thing made of other people's money, and you see them on courses. Use OPM, great. But actually, and I'm thinking as an ex-banker as well now, I also do want to see some skin in the game, because actually, if you don't and things start to go wrong, there's no jeopardy. You can just go, I'll take some risks or I'll walk away, because at the end of the day, it's no skin off my nose, I ain't going to lose the money. So it's really important that you understand that actually you're more likely to get some support if people can see skin in the game. So I work with a lot of people who get outside investment, but even the bridging lenders want to see something coming. Some will allow 100% from investors, but what I would say is just because you can doesn't mean you should. One of my favourite expressions, but that's true.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Into that camera.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I mean, there are a lot of bridging lenders out there offering short-term money, and actually, for me, the feature of the market is there's a lot of liquidity chasing too few deals. And so a lot of them then, in order to get some money out, will then start to say, well, we'll loosen that criteria up a bit, we'll loosen that. So what I'm saying is, you will always find a lender who'll do what you want. It doesn't necessarily mean to say that's in your interests.
Yeah. You mentioned bridging finance, and it's something that me and Johnny both wanted to touch on. Because bridging finance can sound really, really scary, really, really risky. But are you able to break down exactly what bridging finance is and what sort of deal that works for? In a layman's term.
For a first time.
Because it can be quite when you try to explain it, it's mind-boggling, right?
Bridging's it's a bit of a misnomer now to call it bridging. The idea of a bridging loan came from an idea of a chain break in mortgages. So you were buying a house, you're in a chain, yours is going to take a lot longer, and there's a risk that it was going to either delay or break the chain. So what banks used to do is, if someone had another property to move to and you had loads of equity, they'd lend you against the new property and the old one. And when you sold the old property, in effect, they get repaid. And it was a bridge to get from one point to the next.
Yep.
And then it's kind of evolved, and banks do less of these now. Some of the challenger banks do, but I'm saying the high street does less and less of this. And it's moved to this kind of thing that we now call bridging. But actually, I prefer to call it short-term lending.
I was going to say short-term.
It's short-term lending. That's essentially what you're talking about. Anything from 3 to 18 months, 24 at a push, but generally speaking, it's short-term. And it's designed essentially for you if you want to execute something really quick. So, auction purchases, for example, or you want to buy a property and you want to do it up and refurbish it, so it's not mortgageable, or you want to build houses, development finance, but that's a form of short-term lending. And
they're two separate things, but very similar. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's just ultimately, I say to people, don't get hung up about the product name. What you're looking for is funding. You're looking for a loan. Yeah. So just you worry, but you just tell them what you want, and we'll put the name and the label to it. But ultimately, don't get hung up. There's all these products out there now. People got development exits. If you're a builder and you want to sell some houses, and you need a bit longer, and there's refurb finance, and there's auction finance and whatever. But ultimately, it's just all finance. Yeah. It's all just lending. Yeah. And they're all for different purposes. So essentially, the bridging space has now got a whole range of different solutions for different things. So you can buy and just get funding for the purchase and you meet the cost of the refurb, or you can buy and get lending against the GDV, i.e. the future value of the property, and they'll lend you money towards the refurb. You got house builders, which is an area I personally specialise in, and they'll fund you to build the houses. And then you got all sorts of other things that you can do for short-term funding. But essentially, that's all I want people to think about: is bridging is short-term lending. So if you're looking to buy property that's not mortgageable, so it's not ready for buy-to-let and to be let to a tenant, chances are you're going to be talking to us about short-term funding.
Brilliant. I think that's a
great answer. Yeah. Okay. Anything you want to touch base on?
I was getting really intrigued into everything you were saying. To be fair.
I know.
You're quite mesmerising, to be honest. I could sit here all day.
I know.
We've got 5 minutes.
Usually we're asking all these questions, but your answer's fantastic. No, so what's next for Real Finance? What's the?
Continued growth. I've never been. I'm not at a stage, either in my life or my career, that I suddenly want to conquer the world. That's not who we're about. We're quite a low ego business. Everybody, the people that work in our business, I'm really proud of every single member of the team who are authentic people. I really recruit very heavily on attitude and personality. And I've got the most grounded, down-to-earth people you'd ever want to meet, but also very professional and very talented at what they do. And so I'm always on the lookout to grow the business by bringing in, extra people, the right type of people. We've got a number of what we call appointed representatives. Essentially, they're like franchisees. So I've got a couple of guys specialise in healthcare. Got a really good team out in Nottingham who work with an accounting firm, and they're great. Peter's up in the northeast and does his stuff. And if I can find more people like that who can plug into our business and share our values and our culture, absolutely, I'm up for that. But do I want national domination? No, that's not what we're about. It's about...
And sometimes that's quite refreshing, isn't it? Because there's a lot of businesses that's all they want to do, scale as big as possible.
But you're at risk of becoming a busy fool. I mean, I'm busy enough. I'm working harder than I've ever done, but that's my choice. I absolutely love what I do. I hope it comes out that, I'm genuinely passionate about this business. I've been in this industry for 35 years, and you'd expect at this point in time, I know a lot of people who kind of feel tired and just want to give it all up and retire off to sunny climes. I don't. I wake up in the morning and I genuinely love what I do, and it just energises me dealing with people, talking about what we do, and I'm proud of that. And yes, of course, one of the things I probably got wrong is I don't spend enough time going on holiday, and I do need to sort that out, and Mrs. E agrees with me on doing that.
Well, my next question, or my next thing to wrap this up was, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned in business? Obviously, not in your previous career, but since having your own business.
Well, there have been two, and one I've put right this year, and the other one I need to put right next year, and I've touched on that. The first one was I was that single-minded on growing this business and developing it that I forgot about other things like my health. So, unfortunately, actually within 6 months of me setting the business up, I was diagnosed with a heart condition. I've just basically got angina. I've got a blocked artery. I've not operated on me. I've never had a heart attack, touch wood. But what it meant was I used to run a lot, and I'd run the London Marathon in 2013. I was quite fit and lean and healthy. And then in 2017, I got that, and then I got a bit scared of exercise because I thought, oh, I've got to watch my heart and whatever else.
Naturally.
And then just focused on the business. And every year I was putting on 2 kilos. And I have to have an annual checkup every December. And last December I was my heaviest I've ever been, and the blood test came back, I was pre-diabetic.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, if you don't do something about this now, if you don't do anything, your body ain't going to do it for you. Yeah. So you've got to do something. And I said at the beginning of the year, I need to do something about this. So I set upon trying to lose a bit of weight. I lost a little bit. And I said to my wife, you know what, if I'm going to do it, we need to do it together. In other words, so that we eat the same food, we have the same habits and whatever else. So at the end of March, I thought, right, we've got to cut through this, because I was just playing at it. I lost a little bit of weight, but not enough. Got just playing at it. So right, do a bit more walking. I'm not going to get into what I've done to lose it, but we did some intermittent fasting and just watch what I ate. So it was tweaks. It wasn't, but it was going back to some of my old habits that I had. Yep. I'm not here to espouse a particular way of doing it. Everyone's going to find their own path. But I'm back. I'm lighter than I was when I was running the marathon. New wardrobe, that's the big cost. But for me, it's given me a renewed energy, a renewed vigour. And I did it for me. I didn't do it for anyone. There was no other reason that I did it for me and my own health. Yeah. And I let it fall away because I was so focused on doing the business and driving the business.
It's so easy to do though, isn't it?
And when you work in London, you walk anyway. You're going from the tube to your office. I'm up and down my office. We had 3 or 4 stories in there. And you're walking a lot. And then I got back up north. And obviously we drive everywhere because I'm quite rural anyway. And so, sitting on my bum, doing my work, getting up, going to my car, driving to where I was going to. There's just not enough what you might call natural exercise. And I'm really trying to put that right. So that was my big challenge of the year, and one of my big business lessons, and it is relevant to business. Yeah. Because if you are not looking after your health, how can you focus on everything else? And why are you working anyway? What's your business for? It is for your hobbies, for your family, for your friends, for all the things that you enjoy outside of work. So I've got to preserve me for the sake of my business, my clients, my staff, my stakeholders. So that was the first lesson. The second lesson, which I'm still getting to grips with, is holiday and taking time out. And I trust my staff implicitly, but I never switch off. This phone keeps going off and whatever. And I just feel I'm so passionate about looking after clients. You almost feel like you don't want to let them down.
And it's the passion, isn't it? And we touched on this. Yeah. It's because you're so passionate about it. Yeah. You don't see it like a job.
No.
It's a passion. It's a hobby. Yeah. That we get paid for.
But delegating's easy. I don't find any difficulty with that whatsoever. I trust everybody and they're great.
We're getting better at that now. Yeah. Delegation's been a massive thing for us.
But certain elements of the job, some of my team are much better at than I am. Much better every time. Some of the detail.
We said that, or we've said that quite recently as well. Every time we've stretched ourselves to trust someone else, it's paid off massively, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just that first step of trusting someone.
And before that step, I was like, I don't trust anybody to do this. And then Johnny's gone, we need to. And then we've got somebody in, and they've actually been better at it than me. So I should have trusted him. Don't say that. Cut that.
But it is interesting because you know, I can find you each of the employees in the business, and each of them has got an absolute expertise where I know they're so much better at it than I am.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm proud of that.
We'll cut that. They don't need to know.
No. They do. I do tell them. It's important because I think you know. But they are. So as I said, I need to spend some more time away. I am looking at you know, spending a few weeks a year abroad. Because I can work from abroad as well, and that means you could do a couple of hours.
Once a quarter, George. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Mrs. E, I've got that now. I'm looking at you, Rena, and I promise you I promise.
So, last question. I'm going to ask it.
Go on.
And there's only one right answer. What's your favourite property podcast?
The property. I can't say it. The proper property podcast.
Good answer, George. Good answer. Well done, George.
Good answer, George.
But these are genuine. I love this. You know, it's the first time I've ever done it. I love this format because it just feels so natural, and it's just a good conversation.
100%.
And you know, I'm really behind that, and you know, well done you guys for actually taking the initiative and doing that as well.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
There is one more thing. It was your birthday this week, weren't it?
Oh yeah,
we'll not say how old you were, but usually we only give these to people from outside Sheffield.
Oh yeah,
who are visiting.
Henderson's. Hello Henderson's. Thank you very much. Marvellous.
So we usually give them to guests from outside of Sheffield just to introduce them. But that's for you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on, George.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And
ciao.
Bye bye.
You've been listening to the Proper Property Podcast in association with Olive Venture Properties. Make sure you like and subscribe, and see you next week for another episode.